Okay.
Tercümanlar için yazılı doküman şeklinde konuşmak daha doğru olacak. Sanki biraz da yavaş konuşacağım. Çok da teknik konu olduğu için umarım herkes için uygundur. Not bilmiyorum.
I can see we have now 100 people registered for the webinar. So, Mr. Chairman, if you agree, we can maybe start the meeting, and I'm sure other people will join us. So, if you allow me, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you, whether you are based in Istanbul, Turkey, or Brussels. A warm welcome to all of you to this webinar co-organized by EURATEX, the European Apparel and Textile Confederation based in Brussels, and İHKİB, our Turkish textile and apparel representation in Istanbul. We're very happy to co-organize this event, this webinar on the topic of, to present to you the PANEUROMED Konvansiyonu and the new rules of origin, the modernized rules of origin. My name is Dirk van Tichem, as you can see on the screen. I am the Director General of EURATEX, and my main task this morning will be to act as a moderator of the program. But I'm very happy to be with you, with my friends and colleagues in Turkey, regrettably only through the screen and not physically in Istanbul. I'm certainly looking forward to come back to Istanbul as quickly as possible. A few practical points before we start the webinar. I'm speaking English. Apologies, my Turkish is not good enough, but İHKİB has organized for simultaneous interpretation. So those people that would like to listen to Turkish interpretation, if you go on your screen at the bottom, there is an option, interpretation, English or Turkish. If you want to listen to Turkish, obviously you click on the Turkish button, and I hope it is functioning. For the colleagues, the English-speaking colleagues, obviously they will click on the English button and hear the interpretation from Turkish into English. I hope this will be functioning well. Up front, I would kindly ask all the speakers, but also the participants, when they are getting involved with some questions, to try and speak slowly so that the interpreters can follow and provide the correct translation of your questions, of your presentations. As usual in this kind of webinars, I would ask all the people who are not speaking to make sure that your microphones are muted to avoid any disturbance, any background noise in the program. I think all of us, unfortunately, are familiar with this virtual meetings now at this stage. The facilities offered here for the webinar also have a Q&A and chat facility. We will come back to that later, but obviously we will allow for the participants to come in with questions to the specific speakers. These questions can be put, we can put you, let's say, on microphone so as to express your question, and then there will be the interpretation. If you prefer, you can also put your question in writing, typing it in the Q&A function of the program, of the webinar, and then the colleagues from İHKİB will organize or will provide for the translation so that our experts can respond to your questions. So I hope this setting is clear, is okay for all of you. Very quickly, a few words on the program. For the next 1.5 hours, we will obviously focus on this modernized rules of origin under the PEM Convention. It is something that many entrepreneurs in the textile and clothing industry have been waiting for many, many years. And we are happy to see that in a few months, this new system will become operational. And so the main purpose of our webinar this morning is to explain, especially to our Turkish colleagues, entrepreneurs, how this new system will operate. Specifically, we will have İsmail Korunçak, who's a member of the İHKİB board and a member of the board of EURATEX, to share his, let's say, the Turkish perspective from towards this PEM convention. So what is the importance of this modernized rules of origin for the Turkish textile and apparel industry? And then we will have 3 presentations provided by experts coming from the European Commission in Brussels, who will take you through the different aspects of this modernized rules of origin. They will different presentations, and I will gradually, one by one, introduce them as we go through the program. But so again, the main purpose is that by going through those detailed technical presentations, the Turkish entrepreneurs, member of İHKİB, will be able to fully understand, we hope, the impact and the future setting of this of the convention of the modernized rules of origin. Before we go into these technical presentations and program, I would like to give the floor to Mustafa Gültepe, the chairman of İHKİB. Thank you, Chairman, for being with us, and I happily give you the floor to say a few welcome words. Mustafa, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Vantikem. Welcome for everybody. Welcome to our webinar. AB Komisyonu'nun değerli temsilcileri, EURATEX Genel Direktörü Sayın Vantikem, sektörümüzün çok değerli temsilcileri, tekrar webinarımıza hoş geldiniz. Bugün bu webinarda Pan-Avrupa Akdeniz Bölgesi Konvansiyonunda yapılması planlanan değişikliklerle konuşmak üzere bir araya gelmiş bulunmaktayız. AB Komisyonu'nun çok değerli temsilcilerini de burada ağırlamaktan dolayı memnuniyetlerimi bir kez daha ifade etmek istiyorum. Bildiğiniz üzere Avrupa Birliği ve Akdeniz Bölgesi serbest ticaret ağları ile örülmüş geniş bir ticaret alanı. Bu bölgeyi şekillendiren ticaret kuralları değişiyor. Biz de sektörümüz ve bu konudaki farkındalığı artırmak amacıyla bu webinarı düzenleyerek sizlerin kafasındaki olan sorularla ilgili cevapları almak için hep beraber burada toplanmış bulunuyoruz. Ülkemizin yıllık 17.1 milyar dolara hazır giyim ve konfeksiyon olmak üzere 25 milyar dolara yaklaşan Türk tekstil ve konfeksiyon sektörler ihracatının en önemli bir kısmı Avrupa ülkelerine yapılıyor. Avrupa Birliği bizim için hem en önemli pazar hem de dünya pazarlarında beraber çalıştığımız en önemli ticaret ortaklarımız. Fas, Tunus, Mısır, İsrail gibi Akdeniz bölgesinin diğer ülkeleri de bir taraftan önde gelen ihracat pazarlarımız ve bir taraftan da rakiplerimiz arasında. Bu ülkelerden hem ham madde tedarik ediyor ve hem de yatırım açısından bu ülkeleri değerlendiriyoruz. Hepinizin de bildiği gibi Türk firmalarının o bölgelere de özellikle tekstil ve hazırlık konusunda çok fazla yatırımları var. Dolayısıyla Avrupa ile tam entegre olan bu bölgede sektörümüz gümrük vergisiz ihracat imkanı sayesinde gelişiyor ve geliştiriliyor. Hatırlayacağınız üzere geçtiğimiz yıl İngiltere ile Avrupa Birliği üyeliğinden ayrıldı ve ülkemiz İngiltere arasında bir serbest ticaret anlaşması imzalandı. Apparel ile bu ülkeye ihracat yaparken artık serbest ticaret anlaşması kapsamında İngiltere'ye ihracatımızda menşe kuralları ile tanışmış olduk. Şimdi Avrupa Akdeniz bölgesindeki menşe kurallarının 1 Eylül 2021 tarihi itibariyle değişeceği ifade ediliyor. Bu webinarda değişikliklerin neler olacağını bizzat Avrupa Birliği Komisyonu yetkililerinden öğrenip sektör olarak hazırlıklarımızı yapmaya başlayacağız. Bildiğiniz üzere EURATEX, Avrupa Konfeksiyon ve Tekstil Sektörü örgütlerinin çatı örgütü. İHKİB olarak TGS'de ve Türkiye İşverenler Sendikası ile birlikte EURATEX Yönetim Kurulu'nda yer alıyor ve sektörümüzü AB Komisyonu nezdinde temsil ediyoruz. Ayrıca Brüksel temsilciliğimiz Gümrük Birliği'nin başladığı 1996 yılından bu yana Brüksel'de faaliyet gösteriyoruz. Bu sayede sektörümüzün Avrupa Birliği nezdinde sesini duyurmaya, ortak istişare yapmaya beraberce devam ediyoruz. Bu vesileyle çalışmalarından dolayı EURATEX'e bir kez daha hepinizin huzurunda teşekkürlerimi sunuyorum. Avrupa Birliği Komisyonu'nun çok değerli üyelerine katılımlarından dolayı ayrıca onlara da teşekkürlerimi sunuyoruz. Umarım bu webinarı herkese, bütün sektöre, çalışanlara faydalı olmasını temenni ediyor. Hepinize sevgi ve saygılarımı sunuyorum. Sağ olun, var olun diyorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gültepe. Thank you, Chairman, for this welcome words. I immediately pass the floor to İsmail Kolunçak. As I said, board member of İHKİB, also an active board member of EURATEX, I should add, to present a little bit more in detail the Turkish perspective on the PEM Convention. İsmail, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Dirk. I would like to welcome you all. A warm welcome from Istanbul. Fortunately, I need to continue my discussions in Turkish in writing. It might be a bit slow. It's good for the interpreters to understand. Sayın Başkanım, Avrupa Birliği Komisyonu'nun değerli temsilcileri, sektörümüzün değerli katılımcıları. Hazır giyim ve konfeksiyon sektörü tekstille birlikte ülkemiz için çok önemli bir sektör. Biz üretimde, ihracatta, istihdamda ve katma değerde ülkemiz ekonomisi içinde yer alan her zaman önce olduk ve olmaya devam ediyoruz. Dünyanın en büyük entegre üretici ülkelerinden biriyiz. Dünyada 6. Avrupa Birliği pazarında da 3. büyük tedarikçiyiz. Bu çok önemli bir konu. Sektörümüzün dünya pazarındaki bu konumunda rekabet avantajlarımızın yanı sıra Avrupa'daki meslektaşlarımızla kurduğumuz derin ilişkileri ve ticari bağlarımız önemli bir yer tutuyor. Bugün itibariyle ihracatımızın 3'ü Avrupa Birliği'ne gidiyor. Avrupa Birliği ile siyasi ilişkiler bir yana, sektörümüzdeki ticari ilişkilerimiz ve kurduğumuz tedarik zinciri her geçen gün daha fazla güçleniyor. Bugün bu webinarda Avrupa Birliği ile mevcut ticari ilişkilerimizi şekillendirecek yeni bir ticaret düzenlemesi olan Pan-Avrupa Akdeniz Bölgesel Konvansiyonu'nun revizasyonunu konuşmak üzere bir aradayız. Avrupa Birliği Komisyonu temsilcilerine bu webinarda bu konuda bizleri aydınlatacaklar. Bunun için şimdiden değerli katkıları ve yapacakları sunumlarından dolayı çok teşekkür ediyorum. Aynı zamanda EURATEX'e bu webinarın düzenlenmesindeki desteği için tekrar teşekkür ediyorum. Avrupa Birliği'nin sektörel çatı örgüsü olan EURATEX'in yönetim kurulunda İHKİB olarak yer alıyoruz. Ben şahsım İHKİB'i temsilen EURATEX yönetim kurulunda ülkemizin hazır giyim sektörünün sesi olmaya gayret ediyorum. Ülkemiz tekstil sektörü de EURATEX'te temsil ediliyor ve Avrupa'nın en büyük üretici ülkelerinden biri olarak sektörümüzün bir taraftan Avrupalı meslektaşlarıyla bütünleşmesine, diğer taraftan ise sektörümüze yan verecek gelişmelerde Avrupa Birliği Komisyonu nezdinde görüşlerimizi sunmaya gayret ediyoruz. Bildiğiniz üzere geçtiğimiz yıl pandeminin ortaya çıkmasıyla birlikte tedarik zincirlerinde değişimler yaşamaya başladık. Öncelikle Avrupa hazır giyim ve tekstil sanayisiyle bir bütün olarak bizlere işbirliğinin önemini çok açık bir şekilde gösterdi. Avrupa'nın yanı başındaki en entegre, en büyük üretim kapasitesine ve know-how'ına sahip sektör olarak ülkemiz, tedarik zincirindeki önemini bu süreçte bir kez daha ortaya koydu. EURATEX çatısı altında yer alan Avrupa'nın bütün hazır giyim ve tekstil üreticisi ülkelerinin daha fazla kenetlenerek tedarik zincirini korumasına yönelik çalışması daha değerli hale gelmiştir. Pan-Avrupa Akdeniz bölgesi de bu çatının desteklenmesinde ayrı bir konumda bulunmaktadır. Avrupa Birliği'nin ve çevre komşu ülkelerde refah seviyesini arttırarak ticari açıdan güvenliğini sağlamak amacıyla teşvik ettiği PAN bölgesi, ülkemiz ve Avrupa Birliği hazır giyim sektörlerinin bütünleşik yapısını destekleyecek bir konumda olmalıdır. Bildiğiniz üzere PANEUROMED bölgesindeki ticari serbest ticaret ağları ile yürümektedir. Ve bu STA'lar ikili dönüşüme dayalı menşei kuralları ile bölgenin üretim altyapısının Avrupa hazır giyim ve tekstil sanayisini destekleyecek şekilde gelişmesini öngörmektedir. Başka bir ifadeyle PAN bölgesi diğer ülke girdilerinden ziyade bölge içinde üretimin arttırılması hedefine yönelik ticaret düzenlemelerine sahiptir. Bölgesel ticaret alanlarının yarattığı refah seviyenin farkında olarak son yıllarda bu tür bölgesel ticaret anlaşmalarına daha fazla tanık olmaktayız. Asya bölgesinde temelleri atılan RCEP bunlardan en fazla öne çıkan örnek olarak gösterilebilir. Dolayısıyla PAN bölgesindeki ticaret altyapısının geliştirilmesine ve güncel ihtiyaçlara göre revize edilmesine her zaman destek veriyoruz. Değerli katılımcılar, bu webinarda PAN bölgesinde uygulanan menşe kontrolü olan PAN Bölgesel Konvansiyonunda gündeme olan değişikliklerin detaylarını konuşmak üzere bir aradayız. 1 Eylül tarihinden itibaren geçerli olması öngörülen bu değişiklikler hususunda sektörümüzün zamanında bilgi edinmesi ve hazırlanması önem taşıyor. Öte yandan biz bu değişikliklerin detaylarına büyük ölçüde hakimiz esasında. Bildiğiniz üzere geçtiğimiz yıl İngiltere'nin Avrupa Birliği üyeliğinden ayrılmasıyla birlikte Ticaret Bakanlığımızın özverili çalışmaları sayesinde 1 Ocak 2021 tarihinden itibaren yürürlükte olan bir STA imzaladık. İşte bu STA'da uygulanan menşe kurallarının 1 Eylül 2021 tarihinden itibaren tüm PAN bölgesinde geçerli olması planlanıyor. Öngörülen en büyük değişiklik, baskılı kumaştan mamul hazır giyim ürünleri ile çorapta ikili dönüşümden vazgeçilmesi olacak. Bu değişikliğin orta ve uzun vadede yaratacağı sonuçları sektör olarak çok doğru değerlendirmemiz gerekiyor. Özellikle pandemi kaynaklı tedarik zinciri bozulmaları ve ham madde konusunda yaşanan sıkıntıları dikkate aldığımızda PAN bölgesinin ticaret altyapısının yeniden düzenlenmesinin yaratacağı sonuçlar daha önemli hale gelmektedir. Türkiye'nin tekstil ve hazır giyim altyapısının önemi de burada çok kıymetli hale geldiğini düşünüyoruz. Bu noktada ülkemiz için hassasiyet taşıyan üç konuya vurgu yapmak istiyorum. Öncelikle PAN bölgesinde neredeyse her ülke ile ülkemizin bir STA'sı olmasına karşın Fas ve Tunus'un ülkemizde ithalata ilave gümrük vergisi uygulamasına ve Ürdün'ün ülkemiz ile STA'sını feshetmiş olmasının bölge içi serbest ticarete zarar verdiğini vurgulamak istiyorum. Türkiye Avrupa Gümrük Birliği üyesi ve bu ülkeler değil, fakat bizim avantajlarımızı Avrupa Birliği Komisyonu ile beraber Avrupa Gümrük Birliği'nin Türkiye ile beraber işbirliği içinde olan 96'dan beri olan bir üyesi olarak biz bunu kaygıyla karşıladığımızda belirtmek istiyorum. Fas, Tunus, Ürdün STA'larımız aktif olmadığı için bu ülkelerin PAN Konvansiyonu revizasyonu ile sağlanan avantajlardan yararlanmaması gerektiğini müzakere etmemiz gerektiğini düşünüyoruz. Dolayısıyla Avrupa Birliği Komisyonu'nun bu ülkeleri arasında işleyen bir STA'nın ağının garanti etmeden yapacağı bir revizasyonun istenilen sonuca yol açamayabileceğini belirtmek istiyorum. İkinci olarak ise İngiltere'nin konumu gelmektedir. Bildiğiniz üzere İngiltere AB üyeliğiyle birlikte Gümrük Birliği'nden de ayrıldı. Bu süreçte İngiltere, Avrupa Birliği ve ülkemiz ile STA müzakerelerini ayrı ayrı yürüttü. İngiltere'nin PAN Konvansiyonu'na dahil olmayacağına yönelik açıklamaları bulunmaktadır. Bu açıdan biz sektör olarak İngiltere'nin gerek AB ile gerekse ülkemiz ile ticarette PAN bölgesine göre farklı bir konumda olduğunu düşünüyoruz. İngiltere'nin en büyük hazır giyim ve konfeksiyon tedarikçileri arasında yer alan ülkemizin bu ülkeyle imzaladığı STA da hem menşe kurallarından farklı olarak tedarik zincirinin ihtiyaçlarını karşılayan menşe kurallarının uygulamasının mümkün olmasını talep ediyoruz. Ve son olarak ticaretin akışına yön verecek bu tür düzenlemelerde Gümrük Birliği ile yaratılan ticaret avantajlarının korunması gerekliliğini tekrar vurgulamak istiyorum. Gümrük Birliği üyesi olarak Avrupa ticaret politikalarında doğrudan etkilenmektedir. Gümrük Birliği modernizasyonuna olan ihtiyacın hepimiz farkındayız. Politik kaygılardan bağımsız olarak Avrupa Birliği ile mevcut ticaret koşullarının iyileştirilmesi, sektörümüzün Avrupalı meslektaşları ile kurduğu mevcut tedarik zincirinin daha da güçlenmesi için önem taşımaktadır. Daha spesifik bir örnek vermek gerekirse, bu tarz uygulamalar pratiğe döndükten sonra Türkiye'deki maliyet yapısındaki artışların da tedarik içinde bulunduğumuz müşterilerimiz tarafından da hoş görülmeyeceği kanaatini taşımaktayız. Sonuçta Türkiye fiyat rekabetini ve şu anda piyasadaki pozisyonunu ciddi şekilde zedeleyeceğini kanaatindeyiz. Özellikle hazır giyim sektörü olarak. Sözlerimi Avrupa Birliği Komisyonu'nun değerli temsilcilerine bırakmadan önce siz katılımcılardan bu webinarı dikkatle takip etmenizi ve planlanan bu mevzuat değişikliğinin yaratacağı olası etkiler konusunda fikir sahibi olmanızı rica ediyorum. Sizlerin görüşleri birlik olarak bizlerin de faaliyetlerinde çok etkili olacaktır. Ülkemizin üretim ve yatırım alanındaki ihtiyaçlarına cevap verecek stratejilerin geliştirilmesi için Ticaret Bakanlığımız ile yakın irtibat halindeyiz. Dolayısıyla bu konuda da bakanlığımız ile koordinasyon halinde çalışıyor olacağız. Katılımlarınız için tekrar çok teşekkür ediyor. Sözü Avrupa Komisyonu Birliği değerli temsilcilerine bırakıyorum. Hepimize verimli bir webinar geçirmek dileğiyle diyorum. Tekrardan sözü sana bırakıyorum. Teşekkürler.
Thank you, Ismail, for that, let's say, setting the scene from a Turkish perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, we would like now to move into the substance of our webinar. And I'm very happy once again to welcome our colleagues from the European Commission who've agreed to dedicate part of their time to present and to explain as much as possible those new rules. Specifically, we will organize this webinar, this lecture, if you want, in 3 different groups, in 3 parts. The first part will be presented by Mr. Michael Gerlich from the European Commission DG GROW. If you want the European Minister of Economy, if I can say so. He will try to give you an overview of the main changes that are being introduced under this new revised set of rules. So try to give you really the full picture about what are the most important changes that are coming into force in September. So to make sure you have the full picture about to what extent the rules are changing. Then secondly, after Michael, we will have two colleagues from DG Taxud, Alex Marinescu and Guillaume Doré. They will go more specifically into the technical details and the implementation of the modernized rules of the PEM Convention. So they will take you into the timeline, into the different technical aspects, modalities, formalities. How will this new system work in practice? And then thirdly, we will have a colleague from DG Trade, Laurence van Nitzen, I believe, who will share with you some information, some tools, how the European Commission, how the European Union can support you as an entrepreneur to understand and apply the correct rules of origin as we move forward. So 3 different presentations, and I would suggest that we go through each presentation. Once again, if I can ask the speakers, try not to speak too fast so that interpreters can follow. At the end of each presentation, we will allow for some Q&A, for some discussion with you, with the participants. Again, either putting your question in the Q&A section of the webinar, or we will give you the floor, and then you can speak again after each presentation. I hope that is clear for all of you, and then let's immediately kick off with Michael Garelick to give us as I said, full picture on the new rules of origin. Michael, please.
Thank you, Dick. Can you see my first slides?
Yes, we can see.
Is that perfect?
Yeah.
Perfect, yeah. Günaydin, Turkey. Good morning, Turkey. I'm very pleased to be with you at today's webinar. And as Dirk just mentioned, I will present the modernized rules of origin in the PANEUROMED Convention. The slides are not moving. I will try again. Let's see. Now it works. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So the PANEUROMED zone currently consists of 24 contracting parties: the EU, the EFTA states, the Faroe Islands, Turkey, Mediterranean countries such as Israel, Egypt, Morocco, and Tunisia, the Western Balkans, Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia. The aim of the PEN Convention is to modernize and simplify the rules of origin and to enhance regional integration. The architecture of the rules of origin for textile and clothing consists of 3 key elements: sufficient level of processing, accumulation, and tolerance. And I will touch upon these elements in my presentation. Now, why are rules of origin important? Well, the rules determine whether companies can benefit from reduced or zero rate customs duties. And with EU duties for clothes of up to 12%, reduced duties provide for a significant competitive advantage. The PEM rules of origin are the rules in our most recent FTAs with Canada and Japan, and it's also now the rules to be applied in the PANEUROMED area. The rules are descriptive and based on processes, and the operators have a choice between different combinations of processes. The processes aim to ensure the value added of operations and synergies with our trading partners. The basic principle applicable is still the double transformation rule, but for yarns and fabrics, the modernized rules are now more relaxed. Printing represents an important manufacturing process and has been recognized as origin conferring. The printing rule, as an example, is an updated rule in the modernized PEM rules of origin, where printing combined with two preparatory and finishing operations can provide origin to a product by themselves. Now I will show you some examples of processing required to provide for originating status. So the new PEM rules are identical for all types of yarn, for natural and synthetic yarn. And this table shows the old and the new rules for silk yarn chapter 50. So as you can see, the old rules are drafted in a different way, stating manufacture from, whilst the new rules provide different alternatives for processes that confer origin. I have summarized the key aspects of the rules in this slide. So in all types of yarn, the rule allows that spinning of the natural fiber component confers origin. Now, if there is a synthetic component, then first you need to do the extrusion followed by spinning. And in any case, the twisting operation with any mechanical operation permit to import yarn already extruded and spun. So this is the biggest difference between the old and the new PEM rules for yarn. So to conclude, for yarn, the rule allows to import natural fibers for spinning or yarns to be twisted with a mechanical operation. So with this new rule, you can import yarn. Then for fabrics, the rules are almost identical for all types of fabrics, for natural and synthetic fabrics. So with the old rules, you could import the fibers, but to confer origin, you had to do the spinning and the weaving. Now, with the new rule, it allows that spinning and weaving confer origin. So this is the same as the old PEM product-specific rules. But what's new here is that other operations such as weaving and dyeing or printing, coating or laminating can confer origin. So for fabrics, the processes are now more relaxed. And with the new rules, we add a light process to the weaving to give products characteristics of higher value added, such as dyeing or printing. So to conclude, the rule allows to import yarns if you do weaving and one more process. And the rule allows to import fabrics if the operators comply with the so-called printing stand-alone operation. So if you can import the fabrics, if you do the printing and two more processes. So these are the two big changes for fabrics in the PEM product-specific rules. Very quickly looking at technical textiles. So the old PEM rule was phrased as manufacture from. With the new rules, as for other fabrics, weaving and one more process confer origin, or you can import the fabric if you do coating, flocking, laminating, or metallizing with two more operations. Non-woven, which I know is an important market in Turkey. So this is the critical raw material, not only for hygienic products, but also for face masks. So here we have two rules, and this is one of the rules for staple fibers, which states manufacture from staple fibers and chopped yarns of natural or man-made origin, followed by bonding into a non-woven. So according to the new rule, you can import the staple fibers, and with the old rule, you could not import synthetic staple fibers. So this is the big difference in the product-specific rules for non-wovens. And then for clothing, Chapter 61, knitted or crocheted articles of apparel. So the new PEM rule states knitting or crocheting combined with making up. The old rule stated manufacture from yarn. So you could import the yarn, but you had to do the knitting and the making up to confer origin. So with the new PEM rule, just the phrasing of the rule has changed, but the processes are the same. And then for Chapter 62, articles of apparel, mainly woven apparel. So to get origin, there are two alternatives. Either you do the weaving and the making up, or the making up preceded by the printing as stand-alone operation. Also for Chapter 62, the old PEM rule stated manufacture from yarn. So you could import the yarn, but you had to do the weaving and the making up to confer origin. So with the new rule, the phrasing has changed. And also in addition, the printing stand-alone operation can confer origin to products in Chapter 62 combined with making up. And that leads me to the second element in the architecture of the rules of origin. I will very briefly touch upon cumulation because my colleagues from DG Taxol will explain more in detail the PEM cumulation. So bilateral cumulation operates between contracting parties, and it allows the use of originating products from the partners. And this is how it works. If you have country A, which is not a partner country doing the spinning, the yarn is exported to the EU. And in the EU, we do the weaving and the printing. And as you recall, weaving and printing, weaving and one more light process confers origin. So the beautiful red fabrics with black dots gets originating status, the EU. And then we export the fabrics to a partner country where they manufacture a dress from the EU fabrics, and they do the making up. Now, normally making up is not enough to confer origin. You needed to do one more process, for instance, weaving to confer origin. But thanks to the bilateral cumulation, the dress gets originating status and it can be exported to the EU under preferences. And finally, the third element in the architecture of the rules of origin, it's the tolerances. The tolerance rule permits manufacturers to use non-originating materials up to a specific limit. So the first tolerance rule, according to the PEM rules, allows for a tolerance of up to 15% in the weight of all the basic textile materials. And this is applicable to fibers and yarns. So as an example, if you have fabrics containing cotton yarn and woolen yarn, and if the woolen yarn is non-originating, according to the tolerance rule, it's possible to use 15% of the weight of the non-originating yarn. And then the second tolerance rule states that non-originating textile materials may be used, provided that their value does not exceed 15% of the value of the product. So this is applicable to fabrics for the manufacturing of clothes. The aim of trade agreements in textile and clothing is to increase trade between partners and to strengthen the economic relationship. We offer a market of around 450 million consumers, and with these rules, we aim to develop the sector together with our partners. Just to sum up, the new PEM rules provide for more flexibilities. For yarns, you have the twisting and mechanical operations, and for fabrics, weaving, and one more process can confer origin. So weaving is a very important process, but we want to ensure added value to confer origin with processes such as dyeing, printing, or coating. And in addition, the printing stand alone operation provides flexibility to operators. And with those words, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Michael, for making that clear overview of the main changes in the rules of origin, and indeed for, let's say, presenting at the kind of a reasonable pace for the interpreters. I can see, meanwhile, that a number of questions have already been posted on the platform. Some of them, well, the easy one, I see some people are asking for the presentations. So, of course, EURATEX and EHKİB, we will make sure that these presentations are available to all participants. So we'll we will organize that with EHKİB and make sure you have access to all the PowerPoints that are given. Then I see questions which are maybe beyond the this first presentation, making reference to certain practices from Tunisia and Morocco. I also see a question asking the Commission whether there has been any study to measure the impact of those changes specifically on Turkey, on the Turkish industry. Let me look further. There's already a question to our next speakers, but let's maybe leave that later. Michael, do you see those questions? Because I would maybe take the last one here, specifically addressed to you.
I can't see the questions. No.
If you go on the Q&A.
Q&A. Okay, I will open that. Yeah. The last one. The last one. Yeah, I will go there for the PPT file.
Where it says, have you mentioned that new PEM rules aim to promote economic integration? How the proposed PEM rules will affect the production of and supply chain within the EU markets? Of course, it's a general question, but maybe some perspective on that.
Sure, it's a good question. It's a valid question. Yeah. So basically, I mean, what we want with these rules, it is that we want the partners of the PEM convention to benefit from the rules. So, for instance, as a key example, we have clothes where the rule states weaving and making up. So to confer origin and to be able to sell within the PEM zone without paying the 12% to the EU, the 12% customs duties, weaving and making up has to be carried out within the PEM zone. And with this rule, we want to make sure that the fabrics is produced within the PEM zone, so that a country which is not a partner country to the PEM convention can take advantage of the convention. That's the key issue. So here what we see, the integration for the EU textile industry, we have a strong trade, for instance, with Morocco and Tunisia, where we sell fabrics to Morocco and Tunisia, and they do the making up. And if they do the making up with fabrics produced in the EU, they can export the clothes to the EU market without paying tariff duties. That's the meaning and the aim of the PEN Convention, to enhance regional integration.
Yeah. Okay. I see other questions are more related to, let's say, more broad trade policy perspective. So maybe we can respond to those with Laurence joining us later. I think that we may be more applicable. A specific impact assessment on Turkey, has that been done? I don't know if you know that.
I have to go to ask Guillaume or Alex if they know. I'm just here for 2.5 years. This convention was adopted in 2012. Would you know, Guillaume? You've been around longer than me.
Yes, hi everyone. On this question of a specific impact, it has not been conducted as such. However, what we did in the revision exercise was to align the provisions on the last model existing, because there was a real need of modernization and simplification, as mentioned by Michael. The right figures are really difficult to give, and a proper evaluation is not simple, because we don't have exact figures as regards the use of cumulation. We have, of course, the vision at a large scale, but not in the details. And so what we try to achieve within the PEM zone is to find the right balance, considering the fact that we have feedback from the members where they pointed out the difficulties they are meeting on the daily life basis, I would say. So no, we don't have specific studies on the use of cumulation. There has been some attempt in the CEFTA for the Western Balkans, but it's difficult to analyze. What it shows that its cumulation is not very used for the CEFTA, for the Western Balkans, and what we try to achieve here with these rules is to improve the use of cumulation. So definitely that's what I can report to you today.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Guillaume. Shall we immediately move on? I know there are further questions, but some of them they ask, for example, for more information on diagonal cumulation. But I think our next two speakers, Alex Marinescu and Guillaume, will go into that in that topic. And again, some of the other points that are raised, I also refer to Laurence, who is joining us from DG Trade. She may comment on some of these points. But Laurence, let's do that later on when we give you the floor later in the webinar, if that's okay. So let's move on immediately, and I said go into a little bit more technical detail as to how this whole new system will be implemented. And I happily give the floor to Alex and Guillaume for taking us through their presentation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dirk. And I hope that you can see my my screen.
Yeah, but we see it in the. Maybe you should put the slide presenting mode.
I did. Okay, so it means that it doesn't work.
Yeah, there's always a.
Okay, let me try again. Alors, hello. Okay, and then.
If you click on the,
Yeah, here, is it working?
No.
Okay, let's.
What's the trick?
Okay, maybe I can ask Alex to share. I don't know if mine is not working properly.
Yes, let me try. Let me try.
Okay.
Just give me a few. Just one moment, please.
Yeah.
Okay, just I will just start. Hope that you will be.
I mean, we can see the slides. It's more or less fine, huh? Because we don't have the let's say the full presenting mode, so we see them.
Okay. Okay.
We see them, and then on the left we see the small, the different slides one after the other. But it's more or less readable.
Okay, great.
So maybe go ahead, Guillaume.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. So here what we wanted to show you and to present to you today was the content of these new rules of origin based on the convention. So I will go with a very short introduction just to show you what is the old concept behind the PEM convention, and basically it was actually to favor the regional integration by having only one tool where it would be possible to revise these rules and to update these rules of origin at once in the region. And of course, it was also mainly to have a single zone of accumulation, meaning that to have a possibility to include the Western Balkans in I would say in the PANEUROMED family. So that's we achieved this with the convention in 2012, and since 2012 we are in the process of implementing. Discussing and implementing the revision process and the revised rules of origin. So now, what does it mean to have transitional rules of origin? Of course, maybe recall that for bilateral trade between EU and Turkey, rules of origin are irrelevant because we are in the framework of a customs union. And it's a free circulation applied. You don't need to have any preferential proof of origin in trade between the EU and Turkey. What you need is only an ATR document, and this ATR document simply is a proof of status, meaning that there is no issue as regards customs duties, that if you imported, Chinese materials, then it means that you paid these goods, you paid the duties on these goods at the entry of a customs union's territory, either in EU or in Turkey. But once this is done, there is the free circulation principle. So the rules of origin will apply only with the rest of the partners of the EU and Turkey. So what I wanted to stress here is in 2019, at the end of 2019, the partners show that it was not possible to have a common acceptance of a revised convention, and so in order to avoid any blockage, we modernize. Actually, we decided to modernize the different protocols on rules of origin. So we went back to a bilateral solution. So it is very long, and again it shows us that the principle of a single convention is really easier for everyone once it will be adopted. So it's only suspended for the moment, but we believe that it will be possible to obtain the agreement of everyone in the future. So I mentioned here all the partners. Basically, it's all the partners who agree with the solution, revise and are still discussing with these 3 countries, and we hope to find out a solution for them and to accommodate their specific need. So the transitional rules of origin, what does it mean? It means that, again, for the common partners of the EU and Turkey, what we didn't want to do is to disrupt the existing trade. So meaning that if the current pattern that traders are knowing today is perfectly functioning, it should not have any impact. However, if there is a need to use the new rules of origin, because it's simpler, because there is a possibility to go to obtain rules, the preferential treatment with these new rules of origin, then it should be possible. And which means that today, because we still don't have only one single convention, we introduce the possibility for traders to use both systems, the existing system and the new reform system. So it will be possible to for economic operators to decide where when they want to use the transitional rules of origin and when they want to use the PANEUROMED rules of origin. So it's an optional application, and we hope to introduce the transitional rules of origin beginning of September 2021. For some partners, there surely will be some delay because of for political reason. I mean political because it needs time. Sometimes there is a need for national parliaments to accept these new rules of origin, and it may take time for partners to adopt these rules, but fundamentally, the end date is September 2021. So I wanted just to show you the example that with Georgia, between EU and Georgia, or between Turkey and Georgia, as Georgia has a free trade agreement with Turkey and with the EU. So what does it mean? With the introduction of these rules of origin, so simply that you will have to still to have a condition for accumulation. So we can imagine that there is a trade pattern between Turkey, Georgia, and Georgia, EU, because there will be a single set of rules of origin, meaning that you will have the same rules of origin between EU and Turkey, and between EU and Georgia and Turkey and Georgia. Then it means that possibly the trader will be able to choose between the rules of origin, the current rules of origin, those who have been in force between EU and Georgia since 2014, for example, and which refers to the Convention of 2012, or the new transitional rules of origin, which is the rules of origin stabilized in 2019, and then to benefit from more relaxed rules. So it will be possible to for the economic operators to choose between the both sets of rules of origin, and the choice is made for each consignment. So it's possible to decide consignment by consignment. So what does it change? And I will just go very fast for for the main changes and to enter into details of for the technicalities. So we saw that there was there is a possibility to use the sufficient working on average basis, but of course for textile it's less relevant because it's not based on the cost of commodities. There is an improvement in tolerances, as mentioned by Michael. There we introduce also a waiver for the Territoriality Principle. Means that normally in the old rules it was only to obtain the preferential origin if all the process was made in the territory of a partner. Now it is possible to delegate a small piece of this work outside the zone of cumulation. So there will be there is also not for textile, but there is a possibility to obtain duty drawback, and a non-alteration rule has replaced the direct transport rule, which means that to prove the origin, there is a suspicion of direct transport immediately, but the goods have not been touched or changed during the transport, which is a very measure. On proof of origin, cumulation, and list rules, I will detail this in order for you to know what is important for the new rules of origin. So, for example, if on the year one of the origin declaration, which has the two types of proof of origin today, there will be actually the removal in the new rules of origin of a EURATEX. So if there is a transitional rules of origin used, then the economic operator will need to simply indicate on its proof of origin that the words transitional rules in order to indicate to the importer and also to the customs authorities that the assessment of the origin of goods is based on transitional rules. For the future, we also introduced at the level of a region the possibility to use electronic certificates and also to use the self-certification on registration of exporters. That there is this possibility in the EU in the context of a general system of preference. So these are the two news, I would say, for two pieces of news on proof of origin. The first is to indicate if you use the new rules, transitional rules on the proof of origin, and the possibility, of course, for the partners to introduce new forms of proof of origin via electronic certificates, notably. On cumulation, of course, the diagonal cumulation remains in place, but what we introduce is a full cumulation as regards textile, and it is something very important to have in mind, because textile is based on accumulation. we will, what is made
we lose you a little bit in the sound.
Yes.
Your sound is a little bit disturbed. I don't know if you have a. Try to continue but just for you to know that there's some small interruptions in your sound.
Yes. Okay. I hope that my network will still function. Let me see. Okay. Alors, I think, do you hear me on cumulation?
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. On the concept of cumulation. So basically, to obtain a preferential origin in textile, there is the economic operators need to follow and to respect a certain type of processing and of working, and because of the principle of double transformation, we can, thanks to the full cumulation principle, there is a possibility to divide these working or processing with a partner, and it's exactly why we made this possibility is to have as a goal an economic integration and industrial cooperation. So this is the matrix. So what we call the matrix, it's a table where we register all the free trade, all the existing free trade agreement in force. It's not today, it's from 2020. We depend on the information sent to us, sent to the Commission by the partners. So sometimes it's not completely accurate. But the principle, the idea is if there is a possibility to cumulate, it means that there is a cross with all the between among all the partners. Meaning, in the example that I chose here, there is cumulation between EU, Switzerland, Egypt, and Jordan, because of the existing of a free trade agreement among all these partners. There is a free trade agreement between EU and Switzerland, a free trade agreement between EU, Egypt, EU, Jordan. There is a free trade agreement between Jordan and Egypt. There is a free trade agreement between Switzerland, Egypt, and Jordan. So meaning that all these 4 partners may be able to cumulate between each other. And so it means that if there is fibers imported from Korea to Switzerland, and from these fibers there is a transformation into fabrics. So meaning that there is already a double transformation, fibers to yarn to fabrics. It means that Switzerland will be able, when exported to one partner, and so you can choose there between either the current pattern of a convention or the new transitional rules of origin. And this means that, for example, the Swiss fabrics will be able to be exported to Jordan with a preferential proof of origin. In Jordan, it will be these fabrics will be transformed into swimsuit, and they're exported to the EU. And because all these partners, Switzerland, Jordan, and EU have trade agreements among themselves, and also to Egypt, that in the EU, if the economic operator wish to do so, it will still be possible to export further to Egypt, for example. So meaning that this will be completed. Of course, in the EU, because there's no processing, when exported to Egypt, the proof of origin will only mention the origin Jordan and cumulation applied with Switzerland, or only transitional rules. Well, this is what I wanted to show you as regards cumulation of materials, because the first input, I would say, is from Switzerland, and Switzerland qualify the fabrics to obtain the preferential origin. When it's more interesting in the economic integration is with the full cumulation, meaning the accumulation of working. For example, I will give this idea of possibility of shirt markets of Switzerland, where there is either there is two options, and this is also linked with the idea of investment. Either you want to control everything, and so the two processing to the two working to make shirts can be done in one party, or thanks to full cumulation, there will be a possibility to divide the working in one into with a partner, a certain partner, which means that if I take the example of this, if yarn is imported in Switzerland again from Pakistan, so outside the zone of cumulation, it means that Switzerland, normally to obtain the preferential origin, it means that it will be only possible if in Switzerland there is two stages of working that has been made. In my example, Switzerland only do the weaving, and what happened is that the weaving, the making up is made in the EU, and then in order to obtain the preferential origin, it means that the EU producer, the EU maker will need to count, and this is only possible because of the full cumulation. And this has been introduced in the new transitional rules of origin, and this is why now this is something that will go in favor of further economic integration at the level of a region. To do so, there is something important. It's called suppliers declaration, and so the document is made by the first economic operator is doing the weaving, in order to inform the economic operator doing the making up that the weaving has taken place in Switzerland. And this communication, the communication tool will be a supplier's declaration. And the supplier's declaration, it's something that can be done either for one consignment or on long-term, with a long-term perspective. So this is very quickly what I could do, what I could say on cumulation, both cumulation of materials on the one hand and cumulation of working or processing. For the list rules, my colleague Michael Garlick already mentioned in his presentation what has been done in the list rules for textiles. Indeed, we introduce the printing as a standalone operation. We made some new rules for the non-woven and the technical textile in order to facilitate the obtention of a preferential origin. So maybe I can stop here as I see the time is flying, but I'm really happy to answer the questions now together with my colleague Alex.
Okay, thank you, Guillaume. Thank you for taking us through what is still a fairly technical presentation and explanation. I hope it was clear enough for the participants. And indeed, I see a number of questions coming into the in the chat room. Can you see them, Alex and Guillaume, yourself? I would say there is one case, Ms. Meti Gunal, refers to an issue with Georgia, which cannot issue the EUR1 declaration with Morocco. I don't know if you can you see that question?
Yes, okay. Yes. Let's
maybe take that one.
Having apparel goods manufactured with Georgian origin in order to export duty-free to Morocco. However, Georgia currently cannot issue a EUR1 to Morocco. No. Yes, indeed. Actually, according to our information, Georgia has not made a free trade agreement with Morocco. And so this is why. So the rules of origin are simply a consequence of trade policy of each country. So we cannot go beyond this state, meaning that of course the partner has at any time I would say the right to choose another set of rules of origin in their partner. For example, you have a free trade agreement between Tunisia and Algeria. And today they didn't include the PANEUROMED rules of origin. So it's not possible, for example, for EU partner to cumulate between Tunisia and Algeria and EU because of this lack of uniformity of rules of origin. And it's the same with Georgia and Morocco because they decide not to sign a free trade agreement for the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And maybe the next one, which is referring to the tolerance rules, if I'm not mistaken, from Chan Aras.
Alors.
On this, I can answer if you want.
Please.
So this is a question. Yeah,
Laurence,
it's a question of tolerance.
Yeah.
And so you have two kinds of tolerance, one for mixed material and tolerance for more apparel. And you have a specific article that specifies that indeed material which are not classified within the chapter 50 to 63, meaning not the traditional textile material, which are the accessory like button, etc., may be used freely in the manufacture of textile products. So in fact, there is this is a tolerance that was foreseen in all agreement. All accessory can be used freely, and there is no constraint regarding their origin. This is what it's the approach in the PEN Convention.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Laurence. Let's again. There's more questions coming in. I see also questions that take a broader perspective, making the reference to the REACH regulation, to the Circular Economy Action Plan. I'm not entirely sure if we'll be able to address all of them. What we will do, and I'm in cooperation with our colleagues in İHKİB, is try to address some of these questions also beyond the webinar, also in view of the time that we have available. So we will I think we are recording this, so we will try to look into some of these other questions and try to provide answers to those people that put those questions as much as we can, because I can see some of them going very broad, again, talking about the Green Deal, talking about REACH regulation. That would probably take us too far for the current webinar, if I hope that's agree for the colleagues of IHKİB to handle this. Maybe
yes,
one question, if I may.
I think it would be much more better if we can prepare those documents or the questions that are not being answered. Yeah. We would really appreciate the attendees if they can answer it later on. It would be able to start to move forward. Thank you,
Ismail. Let's maybe take one, which I know is important for Turkey, is of course the relation with the UK. And I know it's strictly speaking between Turkey and the UK. But what is the status there? How, you can see the question from Sebatin Koshas, I think here. How will this work, or what is, let's say, the latest situation vis-a-vis the UK and the PEM Convention? I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, perhaps on this, from Digitrade, a short answer. So you know that it was a choice of UK to leave the custom union. It was not our choice. Yeah. So they decided to go for a bilateral approach. It was we have to notice that the UK didn't apply for the PEM, so it was not their wish to be part of the PEM. They chose really to go for the bilateral relation, and usually in a bilateral relation we only foreseen bilateral cumulation, and it was also a political choice because of the departure, because of the Brexit, to go for this approach. So for the time being, there is no plan to include, and you can notice that UK didn't apply to be part of the PEM. If they do so, we will, I suppose the Commission and the other member of the PEM will assess in due time the merit of this request, but it is not foreseen for the time being, and the UK didn't apply to be part of the PEM Convention.
Yeah, thank you, Laurence. By the way, we as EURATEX try to convince them to do so because we see the value from a business perspective. But as Laurent said, for the moment, this is not on the table. So, but to be followed, and we certainly in Brussels follow that matter quite closely. Again, in the interest of time, I do apologize vis-a-vis, many other colleagues putting important, relevant questions. But as Ismail said, we will try to organize some feedback after this webinar. But I would like now to pass the floor to Laurence Van Nitzen from Digitrade, from the European Commission, to add the trade perspective, and then specifically to offer you a tool that will help you, we hope, to better understand and to better apply those different origin rules as it's been explained by Guillaume. So Laurence, please go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm Laurence Van Nitzen, working in Digitrade. Do you see my screen? Unfortunately, I'm not very good, and I see that on the right side you have all the
there's some black boxes.
Yeah. Do you see enough?
You see it more or less. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Indeed. So we in Digitrade we have a platform where you can access, which is called Access to Market, where you can have all information on what you need to know when you want to export under the EU FTA. So I mentioned, well, it's really a tool for that cover EU FTA. So normally it's all information when when the EU operator want to export in a FTA to a FTA partner, and the FTA partner can also see the relevant information when he want to export to the EU. But in your case, you will be able to use these tools also if you want to export within the PEM country or in the UK, because you apply the same kind of rule. At least regarding with UK, I know that Turkey applies the same product specific rule. So it's I would say it's not designed for Turkish operator, but it might be used to find some information. So I don't know if you know this database. I can provide you the link, but then you have a tool when you enter a product. So I will quickly show you, for example, 5208. I do from Belgium, for example. I select this and I go to Switzerland, for example. So you will see that it's quite fast. Switzerland, and I do a search. And then it's, you have to select the product more precisely. So it will tell you the preferential tariff. Here there is no tariff, but then you go in this entry and you go to what we call this rule of origin self-assessment tool. So this is a tool who will show you really only the rule of origin applicable to your product. So you don't need to know everything about the rule of origin. You click there and you will have the applicable rule of origin applicable to your product. So as I said, it's a self-assessment. I will have a problem. I don't know how to delete this. Unfortunately, I don't know.
It's black boxes.
Yes, yeah. I don't know how to. Perhaps it's already better. Voila. I found a way.
Yes.
Voila. So, so the first question, is my product originating in the EU or Switzerland? The first scenario, if, for example, you use what we call non-originating material, so you import, for example, some of your compound to produce the fabric. First, I need to tell, is it my 5208, is it fabric, cotton fabric, is it with incorporating rubber thread or other? In this case, for example, I chose other, and I see the product specific applicable to this product. Just to mention you that this is the current rule in the current PAN convention, but the day we will revise the rule of origin, they will be integrated. So you will have the choice, you will see the old rule and the new rule. Perhaps it's quite complicated to understand this rule. You don't know exactly what it means. You can click there and you have additional element. You have a simple explanation of what means this rule. And what is very useful in, we do believe it's an example, how to apply it. Perhaps it's, in this case, it was on the top, the same product, and then you can really understand how you can apply this rule. So you have several examples. You have also some additional element to tell you when you assess if your fabric is originating. For example, how I have to treat the equipment that you have used to produce your product. Do you need to take them into account, yes or not? What about the packing material? What about the packing material used for retail sale? Do you need to take into account, yes or not, etc. You have this kind of information. And you have also some definition, because in the textile, the rule of origin for textile, you need to really well understand some of the term used. So you have the definition here. It's really an explanation of how to understand this product specific rule. So you have to click, as it is a self-assessment, you have to click here to see if you comply with one of the product specific rules. I will on purpose say, no, I don't comply with none of this rule. Then you have a question, is my product wholly obtained? But you know that the product wholly obtained is more for, in fact, it's this rule are more relevant for the agri-product, fish, mineral waste and scrap, and not for textile material. So you are not in this circumstance. I click no. So what this tool tell you that, okay, I don't comply with the product specific rule, then it explains you the tips to help you to comply with the product specific rule. And what is relevant for the textile material is, for example, the tolerance rule. You know that there is some specific tolerance for textile. I don't know by heart what they mean, what they are. So if I click there, you will again have an explanation that you have a tolerance for the normal product, but you have also a specific tolerance for textile. And you can click there you will see, in fact, exactly the legal text explaining you the tolerance applicable for textile. And so you can read them, the legal text, you can be sure that you comply with the tolerance and with the legal text of the tolerance. So you see, you can find all the relevant information that are applicable to your product. So I wanted, well, here, so I continue, for example, okay, it was an example. I say, yes, now, yeah, for example, yes, now I comply with one of the product specific rules, taking into account the tolerance. Here it's about the absorption principle, but you don't really need this for your textile products. You have also information about the bilateral accumulation. You can indeed, the EU and Switzerland, you can apply the bilateral accumulation that Guillaume explained you. If you forgot, you can still click there and you will have the explanation of how to apply the bilateral accumulation. And here you have information on what we call the diagonal accumulation that also just Guillaume explained you. If you click there, you can have additional information with, again, example, but it's really if you forgot how to use that. And you have also to see with which country you can apply the diagonal accumulation within the PEM zone. You can click here and you will see the famous matrix that was explained by Guillaume. And then you have to check indeed with which country you can apply bilateral accumulation, with which country, Turkey, because Turkey is here, can apply bilateral accumulation. Voila, so I say, for example, no, it's not a set, so it's not applicable. So when you have checked if your product comply with product specific rule, you have to check, in fact, the general requirement applicable to all product. You have what we call the territoriality principle. Here, in this case, as explained by Guillaume, indeed, you are supposed to, all the process need to take place in the territory of the party, but you can export further process your product in outside the territory of the party, provided the value of this work do not exceed 10% of the export price of the product. You always have to check that your product, that the process go beyond minimal operation. But in the case of textile, I would say that if you comply with the product specific rule, your operation go beyond minimal operation, but still you can check what it means there. So I say here, so I comply with it. You have to fulfill the questionnaire for sure. Okay, in my production process, yes, I comply with the territoriality principle because all the operations were done, for example, in EU and Switzerland. Yes, my production go beyond minimal operation. In case, but probably it's not applicable to textile. It's for the operator who stores non-originating material and originating material. You have some condition to store them. Here it's not applicable. And here I have, in fact, some information about the duty drawback applicable between the EU and Switzerland, but in your case, it will not relevant for you because the rules are a little bit different. And here you see that a few click, the tool tell you that based on those answers, the machine tell you that your product is originating. So it's really this self-assessment help you. So you see that you really have to, these tools has helped you to go through all the rules applicable to your product and to assess if your product is originating or not. So I continue. Then I have now the information how to document that the product is originating, because you know that to benefit from preference, the originating product need to be accompanied with the appropriate proof of origin. So you have information on the origin declaration, how the origin declaration need to be done. If I click here, I will have a recap of what are the conditions to make out an origin declaration. I have information how to make out an origin declaration, what is the text that I need to print, what are the footnotes, how I need to fulfill the footnote, etc., etc. So all really relevant information. The tool asks you if you were, for example, if you are an exporter located in the EU, if your consignment is below 6,000 euro, because it is, you know that if it's below 6,000 euro, any exporter can make out an origin declaration. While if the consignment is a value above 6,000, you need to be an approved exporter. For example, I'm in this case. I click here. You have also the tool tell you, and this can be useful also if you are not an exporter of a product, but for example, you are a supplier of a product. For example, you produce fabric and you supply another company within the territory of within your territory. You have also information what kind of document I have to supply when I sell my product to another company that then produce the final product to be exported. Voila, this is the condition. So I continue the section, and you have information on the transport of the goods. So you know that as explained by Guillaume, in the old agreement, and it's the case in the current PEM convention, we have what we call the direct transport condition, meaning that you cannot do the splitting of consignment in a third country, but you can only do some operation to maintain the good in good condition. But perhaps also, as you are a producer of, you are an exporter and you are not involved in the transport of the goods, you don't know exactly how it is transported. You can also have a possibility, you have non-applicable possibility. And here you have the result, in fact, of the self-assessment that recaps that indeed your product is originating. In terms of proof, what kind of proof of origin you need to issue, that it's recap you that as what kind of you need to in fact, I see that there is a mistake, and I will spot it because we are really in process of doing these tools with spotting sometimes mistakes that we have to correct, because you see that here it tells you that you need to be registered, but it's not true. You have to be approved. So I will correct that. I will inform the IT immediately. And then what are the transport conditions? You have to know that these tools is not legally binding tools. It's really a self-assessment just for you to go through all the rule of origin provision. But if you want to be certain when you export in a third country that your product is originating, you can apply. Some country have this mechanism where if you forward them all the relevant information, they can provide you what we call a binding origin information. Not all countries are doing that, but the EU certainly does. This is important mention. Then the self-assessment part is over, and the tool still continue with some additional information, which are more for the importer. What kind of, okay, when the importer claims a preference, what kind of documents they need to provide. In case of verification, you have here a summary of the different steps of the verification. The binding origin information. It's true that voilà, all the procedure, if you want to apply for a binding origin information in the EU, and the legal text, the legal text of the current PEM convention, because as I have shown you, depending where you normally all the relevant article or the different provision appear in the tools, but here you can really access to the different of the part of the text, which are which sometimes is very important to go through and to understand and to have the information of the whole text. You have also the guidance document, and here we make the link to, probably you know, the famous user handbook, and also we make the link to the TaxSub website, which also explain you the PANEUROMED Konvention. And the last part of the tool, which it's might be useful. But again, in your case, you can only use this tool when you have signed an FTA with a third party and when the rules applicable are the same. I repeat, in the PEM Convention and with the UK, especially for the PSR with the UK, the procedure are a little bit different. But you can click here to compare the rule in different EU FTA. Voilà. I hope that this presentation is useful for you. And if you have any question, please feel free.
Thank you, Laurence, for let's say taking us through that demonstration. Of course, the best would be for also our Turkish entrepreneurs to go to the website, play with it, so to speak, test it with your products. It is obviously a very powerful tool. There is a lot of information behind that system, which is constantly updated, as Laurence was just saying, even today. And my question there is the new rules, or the transition rules, are already available on the system or not yet, I think, no?
No, the purpose will be that the day one PEM partner country applies this new rule, it will be available. In fact, okay. For example, as in the case of the UK, the first day the TCA entered into force, this tool was available. This is the objective, but it's not yet available.
Yeah, okay. So please, to all the people, have a look at it, test it, see how it works. It has really a lot of information, template, documents, all the information is there. Good, thanks, Laurence. I'm looking at the Q&A now. And again, a challenge because many people have very relevant questions. Maybe taking the last one here, how should we evaluate the new rules with the EU-Turkey Customs Union perspective? How do you think that the revised rules will affect the preferential status of Turkey as a customs union partner? Any comment on that from either Laurence or the other colleagues from TaxSud?
Guillaume? Yes.
It's a broad question, it's a difficult one.
Yeah, it's a broad question, but okay. First of all, yes, as customs union is a bit typical world and outside the world of rules of origin, of course. So it's difficult to assess because of I would say the billiard game here, right? We, as a customs union, EU and Turkey, we are not affected at all by any change of rules of origin, except of course, if the suppliers of certain things are outside this customs union. But strictly speaking, I think that it's minimal. It's minimal. But indeed, what we are trying we are working on maybe something to see if the new rules of origin in this bridging legislation of 2006, where the economic operators of both sides of the customs union need to indicate what kind of rules of origin has been used in order to benefit from the common partners outside the customs union is affected, and this means some small adjustment, but to evaluate as such the impact of the new rules of the EU-Turkey customs union, it's difficult, really difficult at first sight.
That's maybe something we should follow up as the transitional system gets into implementation to try to monitor the impact. Please, yes, please, Ismail.
Maybe I'll ask this again, just to give it a bit more depth into the conversation on the Turkish look. We are actually losing our competitiveness against Tunisia and the Moroccan competitors for clothing industry. And this is going to harm the business in a very dramatic way in the coming years. So and we have been the partner for more than 3 decades of custom union for EU. And I don't know if this has already been checked out and has been negotiated with Turkish authorities, whether it has been going to be good for Turkey, win-win for the European Union, and because we are also supplying, and we are the third supplier to European Union companies, and big supplier for Europe, and even the third biggest supplier of Europe. From this perspective, what do you think this is going to affect? Because Turkey is a very big hub for suppliers with know-how and the infrastructure, with all its production capabilities and infrastructures, with the establishment of the factories, with its all code of conduct issues, green deals and everything, carbon emissions, and we are all these factories are at the maximum best level itself when you compare it with the other countries that you are talking about, Morocco and the rest of the countries, Morocco and Tunisia. From this perspective, this is going to increase our prices dramatically in the coming years. Have you actually considered this angle and while you are considering these actions? This is my question.
Mm-hmm. Professor Laurence Alitzine from DG Trade. Sorry, I didn't attend the previous presentation, so I don't know what was said. But regarding the rule of origin, the main change regarding textile are a slight relaxation of the rule for fabric, where because starting from the observation that perhaps there was less spinner within the PEM area than it used to be. So the rule for the fabric has been slightly relaxed. So the fabric, whenever you do the weaving plus a mechanical operation, the fabric will become originating. So this is a little bit the spirit. And so more fabric will get the originating state within the PEM area. But the rule for the fabric have not changed. It's still the double transformation. So in a way, we know that Turkey export is a huge producer of fabric. They export also to Tunisia and Morocco. And those countries will be, Morocco and Tunisia will continue to be obliged to rely on the fabric originating in EU or Turkey because of this double transformation rule. And as you may know, it's exactly why Turkey and Morocco are not happy with the revision of the PEM Convention, because they want to be free to source the fabric from outside the PEM Convention. And there is a huge debate. So on one hand, there is a slight relaxation of the rule for fabric, but we maintain the double transformation for clothing. So we don't really, in terms of competitiveness compared to Tunisia and Morocco, and if we look at the figures, for sure, Turkey export much more to the EU than Tunisia and Morocco. We don't see that.
Our concern is not Morocco. Our concern is not Morocco. Our concern is that they are going to import cheaper fabric from Far East, and without any duties and so on and so forth, that we will have because of the PEM Convention and the STAs that we haven't signed with Morocco and Tunisia. They will be in a position to export their productions to EU on a cheaper level. So we will have more taxes here in Turkey. So that is going to increase this is going to affect our competitiveness, current competitiveness in European Union. And this is the biggest question mark in our heads at the moment.
But so, as I explained, the rule for clothing will be more or less the same as today. So I don't see why it will increase their competitiveness, because on the top, you have to know that even full cumulation, they benefit from, Guillaume, can you confirm they benefit from full cumulation already? It's an exception to the current PEM convention.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
Sorry, yes.
it will not be a big game changer for, well, the thing is, it's true that we are trying to find a compromise. And as I said, exactly it's what Morocco and Tunisia want, is to be able to source more fabric from outside the PEM area. But it's a big negotiation ongoing for the time being, and where Morocco and Tunisia are not happy with what we are ready to offer them, meaning a small derogation. But for the rest, it's still the double transformation will apply. So it will not be a big game changer for them.
Yeah.
And that's why actually they refuse to sign the revised PEM, because they are not happy with what we offer them for the textile and clothing.
Exactly, and as you know, that is what also EURATEX has been promoting, is that Morocco and Tunisia should be joining the PEM convention as the other partner countries do, without making any significant derogations, because we should, the whole, as has been mentioned this morning, the whole, let's say, ambition of this PEM convention is to really facilitate and promote integrated supply chains within the PEM region. It's not to build some entry gates for imports from third countries. So, but as Laurent said, this negotiation is ongoing, and again, as EURATEX, we obviously follow that closely. Again, I'm looking at the time, and I don't want to make it much longer, bearing in mind that these are complex, sometimes political discussions. I take maybe one more question referring to the new GSP status of Uzbekistan. There's a question there, how this will impact on the PEM convention, the fact that Uzbekistan now has the GSP status, if I understand correctly. I don't know if somebody from Taxut or Laurence wants to comment on that. The last question in the Q&A.
There is a question from Bushra. Says it would be great if you could show the diagonal cumulation matrix and one more case study where Turkey is involved as one of the parties. Can we do that?
Yes. I think we have shown the matrix, no? We have...
Turkey was not included in that matrix.
Yeah, Guillaume, you want to show the matrix? Or I can accede it. I have
yes,
to.
I can show the matrix.
I can go. You can find it. Yeah, you can find it both on the Textile website or Rosa tool.
Yeah.
So
let me share my screen if I can.
Laurence, you should unshare, I think.
Yeah.
Laurence, can you?
Okay.
Laurence,
resume share. How do you? Because I say new share, resume share, more perhaps.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, but I don't see stop sharing. Well, you know what? I will select here the matrix. I'm sorry, because I don't see stop sharing. It's a little bit strange. But Guillaume, you know, because it's Guillaume who are responsible for updating it, so they know better than me. Voila.
But we don't see.
You see?
No. You should quit. Stop sharing or something.
Well, I will share it. Now you will see it, and I let Guillaume comment it.
Okay.
You see it?
No, we don't see it.
Resume share.
Ah, voilà. Yes.
Yeah.
Now it's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, indeed. So you see Turkey in the middle, just yes, there. So we try to show all the free trade agreement existing between Turkey and its own partner. So of course with the EU there's no problem because it's a customs union. So again it's a free circulation principle. If there is I don't know what, it's difficult for me to find an example. Let's see, without the EU, I would say, because once the EU is there, if you obtained in Turkey the free circulation of the goods, then you can of course move the goods without the problem of rules of origin. So okay, I will try to find you have, for example, a Turkey EU, and then these goods needs to move to Switzerland, for example. You can see, thanks to the matrix, the fact that there is FTA between Turkey and Switzerland and EU and Switzerland, and of course EU Turkey. So what this will you will move first your goods in the EU, but there's no proof of origin because of a customs union. But the goods can be accompanied by supplier's declaration, a supplier's declaration which will say that this Turkish goods is of Turkish origin according to the PANEUROMED rules of origin or transitional rules of origin. And then the EU exporter from EU to Switzerland will be in a position, based on the supplier's declaration, to issue a new proof of origin to Switzerland with a Turkish origin. It's how it will work. And I take this example of Switzerland. It can work with Norway, with Faroe Islands, etc., etc. So. Then, I don't know, a second example is...
May I?
Yes, please.
Can I give you an example on this, just to make it easier for you? If we export, I mean, if Tunisia imports the fabric from India and exports it to EU, is there an upcharge on this? Like for custom unions? So for customs, any custom costs on this?
But thanks to the double transformation with Indian fabrics, the Tunisian apparel won't accede to the preferential origin. And so, of course, we will charge with 12%. It will be of Tunisian origin, but non-preferential origin. And there will be
there is no cost. There will be no cost on the garment, right?
Yes, they will not. They did not qualify for preferential treatment because they don't meet the double transformation rule. So if Tunisia import fabric from